Celeste Friend is one of the protesters that was over on Harts Hill, at Harts Hill on Friday morning when Congresswoman Claudia Tenney was making an appearance over there, and she's on the line with us now. Celeste, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Where are you from, and how much do you make? That's my question.
I live in Utica. I've lived in the Mohawk Valley since 2002. I've never lived anywhere else since 2002. I'm not a paid protester. I run a little business in downtown Utica. I teach part-time at SUNY IT, and that's where all my income comes from. None of it's coming from any other source. I don't know quite where she gets that from. It's a very odd charge.
It is something that we hear across the country, that there are groups that are paying for these protests. And is there some group that is paying for the materials or the signs or any of that?
No, I mean, when we make signs, we make them right out of our own pocket.
Okay.
I've made signs. I have my favorite little sign says, Tenney is Trump in pearls, and I made that by going out and buying some cardboard and buying some paints and buying a stick, and, that's all those signs.
That sign
I don't know
is
of anybody underwriting anybody.
That sign is so funny, though, because that's her promo picture, her bio photo, is her in the dress wearing those pearls.
Those big pearls,
yeah.
Right, exactly. That's where I got the idea from.
That's funny. All right, so what's your charge? Why are you out there, and why are you protesting? Is it health care? What's your issue here?
Healthcare is a really big concern. We're really, really disappointed that Congresswoman Tenney chose to vote for the AHCA. I think that was a really bad move on her part. Of course, we're upset that she won't hold a town hall, but that we've been upset with that for months now. Mm-hmm. But then she went ahead and voted for the AHCA after telling us that she was on the fence, and telling us for months that she was on the fence, and telling us right up until the moment of the vote that she didn't know how she was going to vote. Then, of course, she voted for it. We weren't terribly surprised, but we are terribly disappointed.
There aren't a lot of Republican women in the House, and she is one of, I believe, 4 or 5. And I got to tell you, she's getting some great FaceTime. When that basically that victory lap occurred,
right?
She was right there in the front. She was very visible. Yeah.
They love her. They really do. They are, like you say, they're giving her a lot of FaceTime, giving her a lot of attention. I know that President Trump called her son before he deployed. Mm-hmm. She put up a great, a very nice photograph of her and Sean Spicer somewhere in the White House grounds. It looks from the outside like she's getting a certain amount of, she's being groomed by the Trump administration. For what? I'm not sure, but they certainly do seem to like her.
Listen,
and she seems to like them.
In the Assembly, she was a bit of a rebel. Let's be honest.
Right.
She oftentimes voted no on things that even involved funding for here because of principle.
Right.
Oftentimes, she found herself in, she did a little, I remember when she did the little protest where she went in to the governors, after the SAFE Act, she went in, there was a governor's state of the state, I believe, and she wore a pink Remington hat. Right in front of the governor, trying to get into the face of the governor to get a shot, to try to get attention, doing her own little protest. In New York City, when Ray Halbreder was speaking on behalf of his situation with the Washington Redskins name, he held a press conference in New York City, and she ambushed that press conference. Ambushed it.
And yet, it's interesting, right? So she does all of that, and yet she won't hold a town hall because she's afraid we might yell at her.
Well, and that's that was my question for you.
Interesting double standard there, right?
Okay.
I mean, she's, of course there's, lots of Congress people are being, their feet are being put to the fire in these town halls, so she doesn't want to have one. Well, welcome to democracy, Claudia. This is how it works. You ran for Congress, and you won. You're a member of Congress, so guess what? You have to talk to us, and you have to answer to us, and it doesn't mean that we assume that she'll do what we want her to do, but we certainly expect her to be willing to listen to us and to be willing to meet with us. And it's really pretty disappointing. And I think you're making a good point. She's no stranger to controversy and to sort of in-your-face politics,
right.
And yet when the shoe's on the other foot, she's not having it.
Celeste, getting back to the protest on Friday, what were your goals for that, and did you accomplish them?
I think we did. We were actually really pleased with how that went. There were more people out on the street than there were people in there to whom she was talking. So we were really pleased that at 7:30 on a Friday morning, you can get 54 people to turn out and stand on the side of the road for an hour and a half. We were really pleased with that.
Did you get to speak with her?
We did not. No, in fact, we stayed. The original plan was to be there from 7:30 to 9 because that was the schedule for their meeting. And at 9 o'clock, she hadn't yet emerged. So a number of us stayed for, I don't know, another half hour or so, and she never emerged. Or if she did emerge, we missed it because she was lying down in the back of a car. I mean, honestly, we never saw her, and that was a fairly kind of limited parking lot situation. If she drove by us, we would have seen it. So it's really clear that she's, very actively avoiding us and avoiding being asked questions by a body of her constituents.
Those who support Claudia may say, she ran on a certain platform, Trump ran on a platform, and it included repeal Obamacare. So
right,
and they won,
and
right.
that's what they're doing. So
right.
Will you react to that? I mean, this is I understand you're a constituent of hers, but she was elected in this district on that platform.
Can I make your question a two-parter?
Sure.
And the second part of that is, Celeste, the claim is that Obamacare is plummeting and about to explode anyway. If something isn't done, it's going to be much worse.
Right. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm not sure that that's true. I think that that's true in particular markets. So there are specific regional markets where insurance companies are pulling out of those markets under Obamacare. And what that means is that Obamacare needs to be adjusted. But to simply repeal it wholesale, 20 million people are going to go off of health insurance at least under the first version of the AHCA. Now, we don't actually have any numbers for the second version of the AHCA because Congress chose to vote on it without even letting the CBO do their basic work of telling us sort of what the numbers are. But under the first version of the AHCA, 20 million people are going to lose their insurance. That can't be the fix to Obamacare. It can't be, the fix can't be, okay, there are some problems in certain markets, so therefore let's just completely end this Medicaid expansion. Let's take 20 million people off of health insurance. Yeah. That just can't be the answer to, to a system that has needs some tweaking, needs some repairing.
I want to tell you, I'm not sure that all the people that are out protesting, the people that you're reaching, the people that agree with you, actually voted, and I'm not questioning your voting, and please understand that. But let's be honest, Hillary could have won if she'd have gotten a better number
absolutely.
out. Period.
Absolutely.
Right.
And absolutely. And the lack of voting is a real problem. I think it's going to be very different in November of 2018 around here. I think it'll be different in 2020 in the next general election. I do think a lot of people. I'm assuming a lot of people really regret that they didn't vote.
So you believe lesson learned.
I hope so. But you know what? Also, I hope that the lesson is learned by the Democratic Party, that they need to put forward candidates who people can get really excited about.
Yeah.
I voted for Hillary Clinton. I have no regrets about that. But I was not as excited about her as I might have been about some other candidates.
Right.
And I think...
Would you have voted for Bernie Sanders?
I would have. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah. All right, Celeste, I appreciate it. I want to keep your number because as you guys are out and about, I'd like to be able to at least chat with you about what it is your mission is out there.
Terrific.
Right? Okay.
Terrific. Hey, can I just make one plug for?
Sure.
I know that Assemblyman Brindisi is actually having a town hall on Wednesday.
That is true. I just talked to him about that.
Right. He's having that on 6 to 7:30 on Wednesday night in Rome. I think it's kind of funny. It's not really his job to come out and explain to members of New York 22 what the federal health care bill entails, but he's doing it because Claudia refuses.
It is interesting that Anthony Brindisi is doing a town hall on on the issue of health care, something that everybody's asking for out of the Congress.
On the federal issue of health care, right? He's not out there talking about the New York State, bill that's before the Assembly and the Senate about, bringing a single payer system to New York State. He's not going to talk about that. He's going to talk about the federal legislation, something. Outside of his responsibility, but he's sort of stepping into the void that Claudia is creating.
One might wonder if that's a bit of a hint for things to come.
One might.
Yeah.
It certainly raises that question. Thanks, Bill.
Celeste, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
I want to go to Chuck, who wants to comment on the protest, and Celeste. Chuck, you're on. Good morning.
Yeah, Bill, just two things.
Yep.
Number one is that it was researched that during the campaign, there were groups that were paid through George Soros that showed up to violently and or uncivilly protest at Trump rallies. So nobody's saying that every protester out there is on the payroll of someone. So I want to dispel that idiotic rumor first.
But do you?
And then
Chuck,
no, hold on. Now,
No,
number
Chuck.
2 is during the health care
hold on.
debate under President Obama, they all talked about the 40 million people that were uninsured. And now, all of a sudden, if you get rid of Obamacare, you're only going to throw off 24 million.
Yeah.
So since 1995, at least, the Democrats have said that conservatives are going to throw old people off the cliff. We're going to deny people health care. We want to defund Planned Parenthood because they give services to women, so we're going to get rid of women's health care. We are going to starve children. And on. It destroy the planet. I forgot about that. We want dirty air and clean and dirty water.
For the record, though,
all
Chuck.
the same old talking points that low information Democrat liberal voters, they lockstep group think this is how it is.
I just have to say, though, to be fair, we're talking about Congresswoman Tenney, not about President Trump and those rallies. But the Congresswoman is saying, she has said that many of these protests at these town halls are paid protesters. So we've heard from Jim Zecca's group on the people that have been out on Commercial Drive, and then of course on Friday over at Harts Hill, that many of these protesters are paid protesters. That leads us to ask the question of someone like Celeste: are you paid? And she's saying no, they're not paid, at least here. So that's what I'm focusing on. I'm not questioning whether or not there were paid protesters around the country during the campaign.
Well, as far as Claudia Tenney and town hall meetings go, why would you want to subject yourself to a bunch of inflammatory rhetoric and harassment by a bunch of people that's what they're going to do when they go there?
Okay.
If they talk to her civilly and address her civilly, I wouldn't have a problem with a town hall meeting.
Well, you really wouldn't know because there hasn't been a town hall meeting to find out. We're really basing it on what's going on around the country.
Sure.
Right?
So it doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, you're going to jump into from the fire. The frying pan into the fire.
So you're good with her not holding town halls.
What good does a town hall meeting do? Have you ever been to a village board meeting? You ever been to a county legislator meeting?
You can't say that as a Tea Party member. What good does the Tea Party created the whole thing, for God's sakes. Now all of a sudden you don't want to do it. And, remember the shouting, "You're a lawyer." Don't you remember that?
You're a lawyer.
Don't you remember some of those things? Now all of a sudden, now you don't want town halls. I don't get that, though.
I just, all I'm saying is that if all these people are going to do is come out and attack her, why would she want to do it?
All right, I got it. All right, Chuck, I appreciate it. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
so.
As always. Yeah. We go back and forth, but it's always good. I appreciate it.
Why would you want to run for office, though? If you knew
you're short, I'll see you.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, gosh. Even if you knew people were going to yell and scream at you, why would you run for public office?
Because
that's going to happen in today's day and age.
Here is Lucia. Good morning, Lucy.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful.
I want to respond to the lady that is saying that Claudia should own the town halls, and she is not. Like the gentleman just said, if she's going to get attacked at every angle, and you have no way of speaking, they're going to do that to you. You wouldn't want to do it. Nobody would do it.
Well,
But why? But and now she's talking about Brindisi and against what Brindisi is doing. What is she talking about?
No, she was.
Yes, every right.
She was for it.
She was for what Brindisi is doing.
I will forget who people are and what.
Lucy, you're going to have an awful challenge. Lucy, listen to me for a second.
Go with Hillary.
Lucy.
Hillary's done. Bake the cookies and
Lucy,
home
that's
with
my
finish.
beep. Just stop.
What's
Listen.
the beep? Excuse me.
Listen,
Who beeped that?
it's me beeping. Listen, you're going to have you're going to
Why,
listen.
Bill?
Listen to me, please. You're going to have a really difficult decision to make.
Yeah. Me?
Yes, it's going to be very hard for you. But I know you're going to make. I know what decision you'll make, because in another year, it's my. I don't know for sure. But
are you running?
No, but I think Anthony Brindisi is, and if he runs, he'll be running against Claudia Tenney. What will you do? Because you support Anthony.
Okay. So now I'll tell you, Brindisi is phenomenal.
Yes.
In every way. I think it's going to be going to Congress, and if he does, it's phenomenal stuff that is going to happen.
Are you going to support him or Claudia?
Oh, wait a minute. Now, I am fighting for Claudia, too, because it's not fair what's being done to her. It's not fair what's being done to all the people that voted for Trump.
All right. Stand by, Lucy. I got to move on because I've got another 2 calls I have to take, but I appreciate it. Think about that problem you're going to have. Sue, quickly, I can give you only 15 seconds. I have a professor standing by, Professor Sachs standing by. Go ahead, Sue.
One article in Sunday's paper, Claudia's quote was, I'm 56 years old, and I don't have to worry about pregnancy, and I am a female and don't have to worry about pancreatic cancer. But all those supporters out there, open up your eyes and ears, see where she's thinking. It's not about you, Claudia. It's about your constituents.
All right. I'm going to look for that quote. Sue, thank you for the call.